Hello and welcome to the channel. We're going to talk today about Celestial and the blog site's version of that loadout. And I had been using Wrath of the Presence as my heavy Celestial hitter. I liked how, and I used that along with Consume Soul, and the Death Mark because I liked the simple melee tap, right tap, the combo on it. They're using Plague, which is a tap melee, tap range, hold melee, and then Blight, tap melee, hold range, Divine Light, which is the flip of Plague, tap melee, tap range, hold melee, which I found trickier. The Wrath of the Presence was tap melee, hold melee, nice and simple. Consume Soul was the same way, tap melee, hold melee, and also Death Mark, which would bring up your shield, tap melee, hold melee. So that was all nice, neat, boom, boom, boom. This is a different combo. Cursed Idol is still the supercharge of preference. We're adding in the robot sidekick, which is something that's new to me, and I had not really played a lot with it. So let's jump in and see how it goes. And you'll notice there's a few times where my combos are not quite as strong as they could be, because I'm still getting the feel for getting these combos off. Now it does take a bit to get used to doing these combos. It takes a bit for them to come off as well, since you've got multiple things you've got to do. Now Plague is pretty much a solid area type thing. We'll do a little bit of range, seems to be kind of mid-range. Blight is your great thing for a fast hitter for things in front of you. Divine Light, which does also cast the Purify, that is your big long range type thing, but it has a good long cycle for it to come back in play. See how that counter is just going real slow. But Blight will keep you going on those sorts of things. So that's kind of your bread and butter, that and Plague. There is attack mod for the Plague, but not as much as there was for Wrath of the Presence. So I'm taking down Steve Trevor, but it seems a little bit awkward. And I think that's just really because me getting used to these combos and getting them off. There's some things where some instances where you wind up having to go from the tray a little bit just because of the interrupts. I haven't looked at empowered channeling for the hand mod yet to see if that covers these items. But even if it covered the item, the power, I don't think it would cover the full combo. Now, I brought in a Boo and I subbed in Sidekick instead of regular Henchman, because the Sidekick will give you a little personal shield. And I figured and so will the Boo. I figured any of that would be helpful with Lobo. And instead of my old Wrath of the Presence that I was using is the substitute, I went ahead and brought in the Cursed Idol because I figured I would be using that for this guy for sure. And as the fight progresses, I kept trying to use Plague, Sacred Light whenever you can, because that has a good knockback. But Blight wound up being a lot of the bread and butter for this. And I was using Divine Light when he got to a distance, but mostly it was Plague if I had a chance to, and a lot of using Blight. So if you're in close, those are going to be the things that you're using the most. The Divine Light I think would be great for raids, alerts, things where the boss is going to be at a distance. Open world bosses ideal, where the boss is at a distance and you're trying to stay at a distance and do ranged things. But for close and mid-range, Plague and Blight and Sacred Light are going to be your bread and butter. So that's how it went. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please hit like and subscribe. And meanwhile, happy gaming.